us for the webinar series. Audio recording of this session will begin now. I will turn it over to our presenters today to share about this wonderful topic.
Okay, thank you, Anam. Hi, everybody. My name is Kim Chuy. I'm a community organizer for the Chicago Disability Activism Collective. I am joined today by my co-presenters, John and Cooper. A little bit about us. CDAC is a cross-disability rights coalition, and we are currently working on a Supplemental Security Income or SSI campaign to raise the amount of SSI in Illinois through a state supplement. The agenda for the day is that we will talk about our SSI campaign that most recently and excitingly has a bill number, HB 3920, as well as talking about the history of some of these economic and welfare systems. So with that, I will pass it off to Justin.
Thank you, Kim. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Justin Cooper, and I am a member of the Chicago Disability Activism Collective. And today I will be sharing about how we got to this campaign as members of CDAC. So before we get started, I would like to talk about what SSI actually is. And so SSI, or Supplemental Security Income, is a federal income supplement program funded by general tax revenues, not Social Security taxes. That is oftentimes confusing, and for folks, it's mostly through general tax revenues. SSI is designed to, one, help aid, blind, and disabled people who have little or no income. And two, it provides cash to meet basic needs for food, clothing, and shelter. And so why is this important to CDAC? It's important to us because, the current SSI, which is now $794, is not enough for people in the community to survive on, especially with the cost of living happening, particularly in Chicago and in Illinois. The rising cost in rent, rising cost in food, rising cost in bills has been very difficult for folks in our community. And so it's not enough for us within the community to actually survive. And so we came to this campaign because many of us within CDAC are on SSI. And so this was very important to them that we fight for this. And our community as a whole needs money because, as I've mentioned, it is not enough for us to live on. And so this is how we actually got to this campaign as a group. And to talk more about the campaign and the history of SSI, I will pass it on to John.
Hi, everyone. My name is John, like Justin said. SSI, this federal supplemental income program that's funded by taxes, which I think Justin said, to support disabled and aging people who have little or no income. The SSI maximum for 2021 is $794 a month. It once every few years you get a little piddly cost of living increase. It happened this year, actually. I think it was a small amount. I don't remember exactly. But anyways, the federal resource limits state that an individual cannot receive SSI if the individual owes more than $2,000 in assets. So, or This creates a problem for people with disabilities because it disincentivizes them from seeking employment, because if they make too much money, they lose their benefits or services. There also, most states use SSI calculations to determine your Medicaid eligibility. And back to Kim now to talk about the health crisis, what's going on now, kind of.
Yeah. There is currently not a lot of literature on how SSI connects with health disparities for people with disabilities, but anecdotally and through disability communities, we understand that this is a thing. If you don't have access to the right services, or if you need to live, it can really affect your health. Like if you don't have enough money for food, or you have to choose between food and rent, then it's going to lead to a lot of health problems. And then so we see that they're highly connected from our communities. As far as the research goes, we found that youth receiving SSI use far more mental health services compared to youth in other aid categories. Among all single elderly individuals, we found that a $100 increase in SSI was associated with a decrease in rate of mobility limitations. So more SSI contributed to a decrease in the amount of mobility limitations that people experience. So the research is emerging, but SSI and health seem to be closely connected for people with disabilities. Next, I'm going to pass it on to Justin to talk about his personal experiences of what it's like to live on SSI.
Thank you, Kim. And so I am a person that's on SSI, that relies on SSI, to live, my daily life. And so the 794 doesn't really, it only benefits me from a certain point. And so for me, the majority of that money that I get from SSI, it goes, towards my rent. It goes towards paying my bills. And it's not to mention that, I have to provide, for food, for myself, every month. And so the amount of SSI that we get, on a monthly basis really isn't enough, to cover like the cost of living, in Chicago. So like, prime example, I have to live with my mom because, I don't have enough to actually live on my own. And so I do want to live on my own, but unfortunately, being on SSI, I'm not able to do that because it's not enough for me to live and to make sure that I have, my daily needs. And that can be really stressful at times because you're balancing, trying to figure out if you're going to pay your rent this month, if you're going to pay your bills, because you need to make sure that you're able to keep the lights on, that you're able to, be able to, be able to, live every day. And it can be a struggle. And it's a struggle for a lot of folks in our communities who rely on SSI, who have to make those, painstaking decisions. And, for me, I want to be able to at least have a little bit where I can at least do what I have to do to survive, just to make it to the poverty line. And so a lot of people don't realize is that when folks are on SSI, especially people with disabilities, we're actually below the poverty line. So you just imagine that we're even lower than the actual poverty line. And that is really messed up for folks in our community who really depend on a lot of these things. And so this is why we've done this campaign. This is why I think it's important to us, because, we understand that many folks in our community have been struggling for many years. And this is something that we strongly believe in as a group. And it's important for us to help out our fellow disabled brothers and sisters through, through this. And so that's sort of like my experience dealing with SSI, and I will pass it back to Kim.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. So I'm going to go over some of the demands of our campaign. Because SSI recipients rely on SSI for their survival, we decided to enact this campaign, and on the basis of that SSI does not currently take into account cost of living in places as expensive as Illinois. So the 4 demands of this campaign are that, 1, it provides a 200 disabilities to poverty line. And the amount of SSI that people receive is different based off of, their needs and number of people in household and things like that. And poverty line is also different for people based off of number of people in household as well. So this 279 amount is going to vary slightly based off of, whether folks are married or whether they have dependents. The second demand is that residents of Illinois automatically qualify as a cost of living adjustment. The third demand is that this SSI supplement will apply regardless of disability type. We received a lot of stories when we were first initiating this campaign about folks with mental illness, particularly not being able to receive what they need in terms of SSI. And then with the fourth demand is with proof of documented disability, undocumented folks will be able to receive the supplement with proof of disability and an individual taxpayer number or an ITIN number. And then I'm going to pass it to John to talk about how this campaign will be funded.
Hi again, everyone. So funds to cover the SSI increase will come from a 5% increase to the estate tax, or tax for people with estates over 4 million. 4 million is the amount that estates are taxed, so we are proposing an increase. It does not affect other benefits like rent or food stamps, etc. That's what the plan is, and that's how it's written. And I guess Justin now, right? Or Kim? Justin. Questions first, actually, I think. Yeah, questions, please.
Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, we're gonna open up for questions now before we ask or before we tell you more about how you can get involved if you are interested.
Come on, questions.
If you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. And Anam has a few questions to start. Anam, do you want to go ahead?
Yes. Hi, Katie. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Wonderful.
Yes, we did have a few questions. One of them is, could you explain why the bill says regardless of disability type? What does that mean?
Right. So, as I said, we were seeing, it means like regardless of whether you have like a physical disability or a mental health disability or intellectual disability, we often see that these systems are separated, and so people will receive different amounts in SSI. So we are just saying, you know, like everybody experiences financial barriers when they are disabled or when they are people with disabilities. So this bill will have people qualify for the SSI supplement regardless of disability type.
Wonderful, thank you. We have a question from Catherine. She says, are there links or social media that we can share to raise awareness?
Yes. So I will pop in the CDAC's Facebook page currently. I will also shortly pop in an endorsement letter survey asking you if you are interested in getting more involved. We do need quite a lot of support for this campaign. Another way is to call your representative. And if you don't know who your representatives are, then we can pop in a website that tells you who your representative is.
Oh, that's wonderful. Are there currently other SSI supplement programs for Illinois?
Yes, so there are. The current one is the Aabd Fund, so the Aid to the Aged, Blind, and Disabled Fund, which we have found provides, I believe, a max of $70 to people with disabilities, and they need to apply for it. However, we have found that people aren't able to qualify for this program. And some folks have been kicked off of this program. And so that is why we are proposing that this be automatically, like that folks automatically qualify. And in the bill language, it says that this will likely be administered via DHS. So it is likely that this amendment, this bill will most likely amend the Aabd, but we are not sure yet.
Right.
I see. Justin, was that Justin? Did you want to add something, or John?
No, I really was just agreeing with her. I don't have much to say. It's just she talked about how it's only $70 and they make it very difficult to qualify. It's unfortunate, so hopefully we can do something about it. And that's basically all I have to say about that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your input. We have a question. How is the collective educating the other about the challenges of folks who rely on SSI as their main source of income?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sure. It's in the chat as well, or in the Q&A section. It says, how is the collective educating the other about the challenges of folks who rely on SSI as their main source of income? I think this question is getting at maybe if you communicate with other agencies, or how are you informing others about the challenges? Well, you're doing this webinar, but are there other things that you're doing?
Yeah, so we do a bunch of outreach events, and we are happy to do more if folks are interested. But we will bring on folks such as Justin and John to share their stories about how much and how difficult it is to live on SSI. We have hosted press conferences about this in the past as well, linking the issue of SSI to COVID, and also connecting it to the broader context of how it is important that we as a state boost our welfare system, because we're seeing in these times of COVID how much folks are struggling. And so maybe things would be better if we did the state supplement, because you know, something like the pandemic could happen at any time, or people could become disabled at any time, and there should be a system that's there to support them.
Absolutely. We have another question. Is there somewhere we can see the bill language too?
Yes. So the bill language is currently under edit. I'm sorry, I am behind on posting links. But the bill language is, I will pop it into the chat right now. That is the link for the bill language. It is HB 3920. And it is under edit. So the primary edits are that it says a straight 279 right now, but sorry, I'm looking at the chat and getting distracted. It says 279, and it needs to be adjusted by the number of people in household.
Wonderful. Yeah, I will read some of those out to you. Does the bill address graduated income cap?
So I am not sure. I apologize. Justin or John, are you?
No, I was just going to say I don't think so from my knowledge, but I haven't really looked into that much. That's a good thing to look at. Thanks.
Yeah. Sorry, we can't answer that question right now. I apologize. All right, and then would you mind reading off the next question for me?
Yeah, sure. It says, who decides the SSI amount to be paid to recipients? What entity?
So we have started off by proposing the 279. I imagine this will go through a lot of political negotiation before we land on the actual number. Justin and John, do you have, but currently, like CDAC is a grassroots organization, so we are putting forward the 279 for one person in household as our proposal.
Okay.
Were you also asking like who decides on that that max 794 that people receive, or that some receive less for numerous reasons? But as far as that number, who decides that? That's a great question. Do not know. I'm sure it's yeah, you know what? I'm not even gonna guess, but it's $2,000 as the asset limit too. It's just numbers that are from like the 80s.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to get to the poverty line, which is, you know, some people might say, oh, this is too much, it's radical. It's not. We're just trying to get to the poverty line. And then also Yeah, I'll stop there. But yeah, just trying to get to the poverty line. I don't think that's asking for too much.
And yeah, this is Justin, and yeah, the numbers tend to fluctuate, depending on the year, and sometimes like last year, the 2020, the SSI amount was 783, and it just went up $11, and it's like clearly not enough, like for us to live on. And like I said, it's just depending on the numbers. So some folks, it could be 794. Other folks, it could be another number. It just fluctuates, and I think that's one of the like frustrating things about being on SSI. It's like for folks who aren't on it, it feels like it's just a game to folks. And for like myself and for others in the community, this is our livelihood. And if you're just every year just raising it a bare minimum, that doesn't do anything for us in the long run.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. And the individual responded to your to the question. They said yes, they were asking about the current annual SSI amount and what entity decides that.
Yeah, no idea. And then also, I mean, just the amount is very low, and one thing that's maybe kind of related, but especially right now during COVID, you're obviously people with disabilities, older individuals are trying to stay out of nursing homes. From what I know, when you go into a nursing home, they take your SSI check and you get $30 a month. So I feel like there's some collusion among the government there, but that's just me being paranoid. I really don't know the answer to that.
Thank you. We do have some comments. Someone said this is very important. Kim, will you share the bill with everyone today? And another person shared, yes, I agree. SSI needs to be looked at. And we have another question from Amy. I've heard that people with ASD cannot qualify for SSI. Is that true?
So I think that folks with ASD should be able to qualify for SSI. SSI is, and maybe Justin and John can speak to this, it's an arduous process, and I think you often need a lot of support to be able to get through it, but not on the diagnosis of ASD alone should you be denied for SSI.
Yeah, I don't think that they would deny developmental well, I'm sorry, they will deny it. They always do because they don't want to give people that amount of money. But as far as developmental disabilities go, ASD, they qualify. They just deny you. I mean, I've heard of situations where people get denied 3 times before they get their benefits. And that process, it's not like a 1 or 2 day thing. I mean, this is years, and in the meantime, you don't have money for anything. Being disabled is expensive. People don't get that.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
thanks,
answering
John.
that.
I have put the bill language in the chat. It is on the Illinois General Assembly website. What you need to do is on the left, top left-ish, there is a link that says full text. It's kind of a confusing website. And there you can look at the current exact bill language that will be tweaked a little bit in the coming future.
Thank you. We do have additional questions. Okay, it looks like maybe the link didn't post to everyone. Kim, if you get the chance to post it again, I will continue reading the questions to you as you do that, and you're doing a little bit of multitasking here. Another question that we have is, can we share your Google Form endorsement link with other organizations we think might be interested?
Please.
Yeah, you can absolutely. We need a lot of support.
Yes.
Our chief sponsor is Representative Barbara Hernandez, and currently they are they're really trying not to put in bills that are, or get bills through that aren't related to COVID. So we need all the support saying we support this. So and you can be involved in different ways. So if you want to be on a list of like endorsers, you can do that. If you're interested in contributing in more ways, we would certainly appreciate it. But yes, please share the Google form.
That's wonderful. Do you want to talk maybe a little bit about what are some other ways? We have a question about what are some other ways that I can get involved as an advocate? These were some great questions that people already asked.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to pass that on to Justin.
Yes, I could. I can answer that. So there are many ways that everyone can get involved in this campaign. One of the first things is to be a part of our monthly CDAC meetings. So we hold our CDAC meetings every first Saturday of the month, and this would be an opportunity for everyone who's interested in being a part of this campaign or learning about what we're trying to do to spread awareness for the campaign. You're more than welcome to join our monthly meetings. We're very close, tight-knit family, and we welcome everyone who wants to help, because I think that's something that is very important for us, in our group and in the community and at large. If you want to find out what dates that our meetings are on, Kim, is it okay if I share your email address with folks?
Just spell it out as well for access, and I will put it in the chat.
Okay, and so you can reach out to Kim. So her email address is Kimberly, KIMBERLY period J period THE at gmail.com. I will repeat that again. Email address is Kimberly, KIMBERLY period J period THE at gmail.com. And Kim will be sharing you an email that will be sharing you dates for our future CDAC meetings, and we would love to have you. And also, if you're interested in supporting the SSI campaign and the bill, as we mentioned, there is a Google form you can actually fill out, and you can reach out and we'll share that information with you. And so those are like some of the ways you can be like really interactive with what we're doing. And we welcome, like I said, we welcome everyone who wants to help, who wants to support in any way they can to join us and to learn more.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thanks so much. So Rhonda posted the link to the full text. So hopefully that will work for folks. Thanks for your patience on that.
Thank you. We do have a question about, do other states have SSI supplemental programs, and what is that? What does the process look like if it's different from Illinois?
Yes. So we found about 10 or so other states that have SSI supplements. This includes like California and Iowa and a whole bunch of states out east. It's California, Delaware, DC, Hawaii, Iowa, Michigan, Montana, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Vermont, Pennsylvania. And I am not sure at this moment whether those are automatic or not. I would have to look that up further, but there are certainly other states that have enacted these sorts of policies.
Wonderful. The last question we have is, can you explain where the idea for the funding source, the estate tax, came from?
Yes. So CDAC believes in, again, strengthening our welfare system because anyone can be disabled at any time, and along lines of like race, class, gender, disability, there are certainly a lot of people who have historically been oppressed and as a result are struggling financially. So that is the broad impetus of where this comes from. And could you repeat the question one more time?
Yes. It says, can you explain where the idea for the funding source, parentheses, estate tax, came from?
Right. So the 4 million it's already law. So that cutoff for the estate tax was already there. So we're proposing an increase to the already existing estate tax. And it's basically the concept of like, you have enough money, we're not going to tax you until you're dead, basically, to say that kind of crassly. And you will be contributing so that other people who are struggling won't have to struggle quite as hard. Justin or John, do you have anything else to add?
No, I do not. Good job.
Yeah. Okay. So those were a lot of the questions that we have. And Rada's sharing the link again. And if you can click, she says, try to copy, paste the link into your browser if clicking on it is not working for you. We have a comment from Amy. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your experiences and inviting us to get involved in advocacy. I know you shared a lot of different things, but the last thing on our agenda here is the call to action. Do you want to summarize all of the different ways that people can get involved and that call to action piece?
Yes. So Justin can go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I can repeat the calls to action. And so so we encourage folks to attend our CDAC meetings if you're interested in learning more about what we're doing, our next steps, going forward with this campaign. And so we hold our meetings every first Saturday of the month. And so our next future CDAC meeting is going to be Saturday, April 3rd, and it starts at 12, so it's from 12 to 2. And so if you're interested in learning about that, you can reach out to Kim. We put her email in the chat, but I can also repeat it one more time for people to write it down. So you can email Kim at Kimberly, KIMBERLY _J THE at gmail.com. And so you can reach out to Kim, and Kim will be able to share that information with you. We are always welcoming of folks, being a part of our meetings and our campaign. Before we all used to meet in person at various libraries across the city. And now we're doing it via Zoom. So if you're interested, you can email Kim. You can also check out our Facebook page, which is the Chicago Disability Activism Collective. We share a lot of different information about what we're doing, our future meetings, our future events, and we'll be sharing more information about the SSI campaign and the bill itself. So if you're on Facebook, you can reach out to us at the Chicago Disability Activism Collective. And then also, if you're interested in learning more in supporting the campaign and the bill, we do actually have a Google form available for folks to fill out and to check out. And so,
Is there any way we can put that in the chat? I'm having issues with the chat.
yes.
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Justin. Go ahead.
No, you're okay, and thank you for pointing that out. And so yeah, those are the ways that you can reach out and support CDAC during this SSI campaign. We greatly appreciate it, and the more people that are involved, the more awareness we can spread for our campaign. So I thank you all for letting me share that information with you.
Yeah.
We have another comment. Thank you for doing what you're doing. People on disability benefits are having a hard time, and the amount of money has needed to be reevaluated for a long time. This is a valuable topic for many people and valuable discussion to have. It's great that you shared the history of SSI and the campaign and how it's a health crisis. Thank you so much for sharing your personal experiences. I'm sure those are valuable to people as well, as you can see from the comments and all of the ways that you included for the call to action. If you could link the Google form so that people have access to that. And Catherine, thank you. Appreciate all the advocacy work that you're doing. It's great that people have ways to get involved. Thank you, Rhonda, for posting that link again. That's a great way to get some more information and learn a little bit more. Thank you guys so much for presenting.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Before we end, I just want to confirm that folks can get to the full bill language. I know there was some back and forth on that in the chat.
Yes, if you can have access to it, please post it in the chat. We have another comment. Thank you for great info and presenting today. Hopefully most people have access to that, to the bill language. Thank you so much for presenting. Thank you everyone for joining us today for the IDHD webinar series. We hope you will join us for our next webinar, which is on March 17th from 12 to 1 p.m. It's about employment advocacy and engagement. We hope to see you there. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Everyone.
Thank you all.
Have a good day.